Hello and good evening. This is Kyle Eric, and welcome to a new episode of A for Abled. On tonight's show, we have Miss Anna. How are we doing tonight?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. Glad that we could connect. The funny thing is, myself and Miss Anna. So we met a while ago. Through through a few people. Matter of factly, so number one, got to give a shout out to the Self Discovery podcast with Miss Alicia Brown. She was the she is number one a friend of mine and someone that I do edits for, and she happened to be uh, talking to Miss Anna about domestic violence and abuse, which is mainly what she talks about on her podcast. Check her out on all podcast platforms, and also shout out to my mother and my aunt on the Tea and Cornbread podcast, who they both interviewed Miss Anna on different times, and I just happened to be there one day during a recording, and I realized, like, hearing Miss Anna's story of of growth, of healing, of a lot. It was a lot, and there was something about the story that made me go, wait a minute, I've heard this before. I recognized your voice.
Mhm.
I remember I'm in the booth. We're at the studio. I'm in the booth manning the cameras, and I hear your story and I hear your voice, and I'm like, wait, I don't know her, but I know her, right? It's funny. It was funny. And then as soon as you guys were done with your interview, which was great, which was great, by the way, shout out to Tea and Cornbread. Check them out on YouTube as well as other podcasting platforms. And I knew at one point, okay, when I bring my show back, I gotta have her on. So thank you for joining me tonight.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
And a special shout out to to another person. A lot of connective tissue over here. My aunt Cheryl.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
man. Big ups to my auntie Shay. You guys worked together
Yes, for many years.
for many years. Okay, all right. So for those who don't know you and your powerful story, do you mind giving us a little synopsis as to who Miss Anna is?
So, I came to Connecticut from New York City in 1997. Shortly after that, I was engaged in community work, and I've been doing that ever since. I have extensive work in case management, worked for both hospitals for over 12 years between both of them. And the entire time I was raising two young children, so I never really told my entire story. But what the
Mm,
experience afforded me was the opportunity to be around people when they were going through their toughest times and struggles. And I had a lot of my own personal experiences that helped me navigate those platforms. So when COVID happened, I realized that I needed to do more. I wanted to do more, and I no longer wanted I wasn't really hiding it. I was more protecting my children, but I wanted to do more in the safety of women because I feel that safety for women has become so much more dangerous and
mm.
more frequent, and that's what I wanted to really to pursue. I wanted to tell my truth and talk about it. So what I do now is I'm working for Waterbury Bridge to Success, and
Mm.
I'm tasked with transforming the community, which for me it's an honor and is a passion of mine. I'm happy to do it. And one of the biggest topics that we will be addressing in this initiative is mental health, the state of mental health in the community, and
Mhm.
substance abuse and mental health was identified as one of the most pressing issues that the community needs help with.
Most definitely. So you've been working with uh, with with people in the mental health space for a long time now,
Correct.
right? And I know a little bit, I know a little bit of your story. I went back and re-listened to, past shows that you were on, and I gotta say thank you for being so, honest and transparent and candid about it,
Thank you.
because I, I know it's not easy, but at the same time, like I gotta give you your props.
Thank you.
Like anybody,
Yeah.
out here willing to tell their stories, and it is a, as someone who thankfully hasn't gone through it, but has listened to a lot of, a lot of people tell their truth. Like
Mhm.
it hit me right in the heart, you know. Um, but when did you start working in that space? Like when did you start working in the hospitals?
I started in the hospital around 2009. Well, in 2009. And
Hmm.
before that, I worked for different community organizations at, at different levels. The hospital one was the one where I was more mature. I was
Hmm.
in my 30s. Um, I was seeing life from a different spectrum, so I was able to relate to folks a lot. I worked for the Malta House of Care, which is a free medical van for uninsured people, and I was exposed to people from my same walks of life, undocumented people. I was undocumented when I came here as a child until I was like 15 years old. And a lot of the stories were very similar to home. The job was very cathartic for me because it provided a lot of therapeutic moments where I was able to reflect and see how we're similar in so many different spaces, but when we're all walking around and just holding on to what our story is, we don't really realize that. So life allowed me to be sitting in a space where I'm listening and just realizing, um, that I wasn't alone. I was.
Mm.
Shame is not really the word because I've always been pretty courageous when it comes to speaking my truth, but at that point it would have just been with my family. The point of telling others, I just wasn't ready for till now.
Mm.
Um, Well, to be completely 100% till COVID happened, all the racial issues that came up happened.
Mm.
The fact that we were still in such a dark space racially, not that I didn't know that, but just seeing it on the screen um, just played a number on me and my conscience and showed me that I could be doing more. I could be speaking more. I could be advocating more, and that the fear that I had, many years ago, just wasn't there anymore. It wasn't necessary. It was important for me to speak up.
I hear you. I hear you. I remember during the. I still can't believe how much time has already gone by since COVID, since the lockdown. I mean,
Yeah,
it's not gone, but it's changed everyone. It's changed everyone's life. But at the same time, a lot of times it feels like certain things haven't changed. But what I I'm right there with you. Looking at how people were treating, other people, especially in the like the Black, Hispanic, and Asian communities, it
yes,
was it was very much a like we already knew this was happening.
right.
We already knew this was happening. But then fear brought it out in droves, you know?
Hmm.
and now they know, and now we're going to be talking about it in history, hopefully. I
Right.
know there are people out here trying to suppress information, but still, it's you can't. Way too many documented and videoed reports and
Hmm.
everything about it. So that is what made you want to do more.
Yeah. Well, I would be remiss if I didn't say what really brought it about, and that was, we were all home. We had time to reflect. We had time to
Mm.
meditate. I was pursuing a higher degree at the time, and I didn't have my job anymore, and I was, conflicted with my age and the ability to get a job and all those things that play
Mm.
in your head, especially when you see what's happening in the world. Like the whole earth literally stood still.
Stood still. Yeah.
Yes. So,
For those 3.5 years.
yes. So in that
You know?
process, in one of my prayers, I promised God that I would never show up in any space if I wasn't my authentic self,
Hmm.
because I realize, who am I living for? Am I living for what people may say or think or do, or am I living my life for me? Um, and then
That's real.
yeah, that was it. I have to live my 100% life experience, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it.
Mm. Like you had to just let it all out.
Let
You
it, yeah.
let you go. All, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything else that comes with it.
Yes. And the magical
Yeah.
part about it is that I can't change my mind. I promised God that's what I would do, and that's what
Mhm.
I'm going to do, and that's what I've been doing. And there's been a lot of challenges and a lot of
I bet.
beautiful moments and growth out of it. Yes.
And how do you feel now?
I feel good about it. Again, I think it's important to talk about it, not just for women, but for a race and a community in itself, right? For people from all different types, walks of life, to be able to come together and talk about their struggles.
Yep.
I know that the Latinx community is not really invested in mental health. Um, and so is the Black community. I know that's a big struggle that we have as people, but it also comes from being marginalized and never being
That,
fully treated with the
like humans.
dignity and yes,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely.
Like it's years upon years of emotional trauma and stereotyping and just straight up fair. That's all. That's all it is. Fair and fair mongering.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have I remember telling somebody I was in therapy, and they were like, "Oh, you don't have to tell us all that." And I'm like, "But I want to,
Right,
you know, but I
right,
want to, because I was feeling like me, you
right.
know, I was letting things go. Sometimes things, they still pop up, but I was able to express it in a way where I felt positive about myself, and that's what I see it, happening for people. Whether they, now some don't go the therapy route. Some, they would rather, like, okay, they'd rather go to church, or they'd rather meditate, or they'd rather, exercise or whatever. I'm like, okay, as long as you're getting it out in a positive way, you know for me, and for others, it was definitely therapy, and I'm seeing a change, right? Slow
Yep,
and steady, right?
yep, yep. Absolutely. Yes, I think we're
Mm.
growing as people and evolving, and we just have to keep going regardless. The fact that so many powers want to come after that growth that happened in those 4 years, that should be our signal that we need to keep pushing as hard as we can to be just to exist. And that's
Yeah,
fine. Yep,
yeah. That's, no, that's it. A lot of us are struggling just to exist. Should not be a thing. You
exactly.
know,
Exactly.
that should not be a thing. We're all here for a short amount of time.
Yep.
I am not here I'm not here to impress anybody. I'm here to, I'm here to learn. I'm here to listen. I'm here to learn. I'm here to tell you my stories. And I'm here to hear from other people. But
Hmm.
I'm not here to be afraid, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And, mm. So, can you walk us through, like, what your first day working in a hospital was like?
Um,
You remember?
I do. I do. It wasn't like shocking to me. I had extensive case management experience, right? So
Mm.
I'm much younger. I believe in so by this time I'm in my mid 30s, and then my case management experience came late 20s, early 30s, where I was
Mhm.
able to, and I was working as a case manager for people collecting food stamps.
Mm.
And it was the first time that it had become mandated. It was around the time where it became mandated, and if you were receiving, you had to be looking for work and all these things. And my job was to make sure that people were doing that. But what it showed me was that, well, I never had to tell my clients it was mandated, because I treated them
Mm.
with respect, and they felt heard and understood. When they had a challenge, they felt they called somebody that didn't suspect it was a lie or anything like that. They felt like I trusted them, and my
Mhm.
relationships that I made with the people I was helping afforded me, I think, the experience that I needed when I went to the hospital.
Mm.
And I hold that dear, because that wasn't the case for other case managers in the program. um and that's when I began, like when you're young, like in your 20s, you don't really know who you are. Even
I
closer
know
to
I did.
even closer to 30, sometimes you're not in that reflective phase where you can put things together like you are
Mhm.
mid 30s and 40s. So it showed me a lot of like resilience that I had with me, and strength, and the power to talk to people, and tell them things that they needed to hear. They probably
Mhm.
never heard, they probably never felt important or respected, or and
Mhm.
that's how it started with me. I started to fall in love with the work and with the people. I felt love from them too. I still feel
Mhm.
that way. And so when I ended up in the hospital, it was the same Anna, actually with more painful challenges, because I before I got that job, I've been unemployed for 3 years because I had my own physical
Mhm.
issues happening. And um I wasn't, well, there's no cure, right? So I wasn't cured, but I was in a better
Mhm.
space, and I was able to actually work for the first time in 3 years when I got that job. And then the work and the experience of being home just made me even more empathetic, and
Mm.
uh probably, a trusted person that people could talk to. And that's my integrity. That's everything to me. So I held that, I hold that very dear too. And that experience, I think, just put me on the platform to be ready for a job like that. So
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah. I remember you saying on the Tea and Cornbread podcast, um, that you were glad that you had a heart that was able to love so many people. To
Amen.
you know, that you had a heart big enough to love so many people, even if they did you wrong. You know, like that right there is empathy. Like a lot, and some they struggle with that. They're like, how can you still love that person, and they did this, and they did this to you? How can you still love that person and they did that to you? Like, what do you say, um what do you say to someone if they were to ask you that?
You really, is just the basics, right? You have to consider the source. It takes a broken person to want to break you. It takes a lot of times. I mean, I'm gonna say 90% of the time, I don't get the grace I give, but I'm not gonna stop
Mm.
giving the grace. I wake. If God woke me up this morning, I still have grace to give. I need to get going. So,
Mm.
um, consider the source, and if you evaluate a person enough, you'll find the cracks. You'll find where the person was fractured, and everyone
Mm.
needs help. Everyone needs to learn how to process these things. And I'm very fortunate that God never left me. I left him a couple times. I forgot a couple times, and God was still
Mhm.
there, holding on to me. And that's another thing that is a big deal, is that I wasn't always perfect. I wasn't always looking. I wasn't even seeking sometimes, and I always
Mhm.
found my way back, um by no effort on my part, back
Mm.
with God where I needed to be. And that's happened, several times in my life, more than five, where I wasn't
Mm,
walking the right path, and God brought me back. And for so many, that's not the thing. When you talk about a heart that can love so much, I do thank God for that so much. In many of my prayers almost every day, because I know people that will die without ever feeling that, or feeling
mhm.
that ability. And that's because someone took it from them, and it's so much that they can't come back from those feelings. So
Mm. It's it's true. Like you've met my mother,
absolutely.
right? You've met my mother. You met my aunt. That's the kind of stock I come from, right?
Amen.
Like
Good stock.
my my mother taught me how to hug, right?
Oh, yes.
My mother taught me how to hug, and that's like I use that as like my signature. If I ask people like straight up, because I'm a hugger, I will ask people straight up, "Do you mind if I give you a hug?" Right? And sometimes it turns into friendship. You know,
Yeah.
like all I gotta do is, and I'm still learning how to be a better listener, especially
Hmm.
doing this.
Hmm.
Um, but a hug can change. It can change someone. You know what I'm saying? Like it, and if it's genuine and
Right.
it's big, because I like to squeeze, right? So yeah, so that's the thing. I want you to feel it, and if I see that somebody is not doing well, like
Hmm.
I'll ask, hey, do you want a hug? And they'll be like either yes or no. Respect people's space. We respect
Right.
everyone up in here, you know. But yeah, my mom taught me how to hug, and it has been it's been a huge part of who I am. You
Amen.
know, yeah, it's funny, but then you got but then you got the other side of the spectrum where where like you said, people were not given that, or it was taken away from them.
Right.
Like for some, it was through years, and then for others, it might have been just one bad experience, and next thing you know, they don't trust anymore,
Right.
right? Understandable. Um, like like in your past, you've had people close to you that, according to stuff that I had
Hmm.
listened to and heard, that you had people close to you do some unspeakable things to you,
Right.
and it brought you down a dark path, but you found your light.
Right.
All right. Can you speak on that a little?
Yeah. um I think it started with not being around my mom, and growing up in New York City in Manhattan, as an immigrant child, with my paternal grandmother, who was also new to the country. So I can only imagine what the struggles, just knowing what they were for me by going, walking to school and walking back home, what they were for
Mm,
her. Just total culture shock, in way past midlife years for her.
mm,
Um, so it was a hard childhood, and it was a hard home life. And I never really felt loved, and heart hugged or kissed or any of that. I don't even know why I'm so affectionate. I am such a hugger, and I am such an affectionate person, and I thank
mm,
God for that too. Because a lot of things that for anyone else would just be taken away. They would never even think of it. That was never for me. Like, I've always, even
mm,
after. So growing up was tough. And when I was 19 years old, I fell in love with someone, and I wanted to leave my house as bad as I could, because
mm,
I had been running since I was 15, living with like my aunt, living with my sister at one point. just trying to not have to live with my grandmother again. And I was actually living with my
Mm,
grandmother, which maybe clouded my judgment in this relationship. Is possible. But
mm,
as far as I knew, I was in love with this person and I left with him. And the relationship at that point had been over the phone for like 90 days or 4 months. And when I found myself in his house, it wasn't real. It was all a lie. And
mm,
he was gonna traffic me. He was a pimp. So um I know now that my reaction to that, which was no reaction, probably saved my life because I was really far away from home.
mm,
And by the time I was in his house, there were other people. We were not alone. Um, but that's part of the story. And that lasted 4 years. And I finally escaped in 1995. This happened in 1991.
mm,
And the biggest thing from that is that it was 30 years ago and it still haunts me every day. There isn't a day I don't think about it. And the pain that I feel when I see so many women go through this now and how much more dangerous it is for women. I mean, it was dangerous for me. It was the early 90s. I mean, women were being grabbed and killed and thrown on the West Side Highway all the time. It was dangerous, but now it just seems a lot easier and a lot more dangerous and a lot easier to capture somebody. We may think that's not the case, but it is. So I carry that guilt too. I feel like if I been speaking for the past 30 years, I maybe I could have changed some things, but I guess that wasn't just meant to be. Now is my time, and now is the time where I realized that okay, I'm going to talk about it, with anybody that wants to hear or have a conversation about it, and maybe some woman somewhere will feel like they have a chance and they can fight and save their lives and or get help.
mm. I so a lot of my friends and people close to me, they've told me stories of not being believed
Mm-hmm.
when stuff happens to them. Case in point, I've had one of my best friends shared their medical health story, and they were talking about how they had um they had cysts on their ovaries. They had things going on, and they had basically told the doctor, I would like this ovary removed. The doctor kept harping about fertility. Like,
Mm,
what about your future kids? She's like, I already mulled this over. I already thought about it. I don't want kids. She'd seriously just rather be an aunt,
mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But this doctor kept pushing and pushing it. Even male doctor and female doctor,
Yeah.
they were just pushing and pushing, and and they were like, "Well, what about your boyfriend? He doesn't want kids either. Well, what about your future husband?" Right? They just kept pushing.
Mm-hmm.
Then stuff started getting worse, and she finally was able to, she was finally able to get what she asked for, you
Okay.
know, and it's like it's just like if you listen to her beforehand, because this was a serious medical issue. She wasn't just asking just so she could go out and do whatever, you
Mm-hmm.
know, or plenty of people who have been abused and have come to people for help. Policemen, uh uh clergy, doctors, and they're still not being believed. And I like just me being a friend or someone close to them. I hear about these stories. Some of these stories are current. Other ones are from years ago, and some are stories like yours. And I'm like, how is it? that we're still dealing with, with that? Why are we not listening to people? If we were in a world, because unfortunately this is not just relegated to, the United States or anything, but if we were living in a world where people were comfortable enough to talk about what's going on with them, maybe that wouldn't happen as much, you know.
Right.
But this is just stuff that I think about, especially with stories like these. So, I know went on a little bit of a rant there, but
Not at all.
but but so you so this happened to you back in the early 90s. You
Hmm.
got out officially. You escaped in 97,
95.
95. Okay. Yeah. You escaped in 95. What did it take for you to finally get out?
Um, my baby, and the refusal. I refused for my child to grow up watching me get hit or
Mm,
or watching any violence in the home. And I refused to have, if I had life in me, anything that I went through be repeated on them. So that was, it's complicated. So the entire
right.
relationship, everyone was threatened, like my entire family, my baby
Mm,
cousins. There were only like eight, well, cousins, but for me, like brothers and sisters, because their
right. Right.
grandmother raised me. Yeah. So
Yep.
anything
Understood.
I held dear, were they were under threats. But then once the baby was born, I just had to call the bluff, because it just got more sadistic and more dangerous. And
Mm,
um I just I'll never forget, one day I was being punched in my ear, and I was on the floor, and the baby was on the floor, and I saw my blood in her face. And all those moments did it for me, when I saw my blood on my baby's face.
oh.
There's a lot of moments, but there are integral moments. It's funny we're having this conversation, because that memory just came to me last night for some reason. Like I said, it
Right.
just,
Things. Yeah.
many of us live with what we mourn and what we've lost for years and years. A lot of people that I talk to just think I should get over things, but you'll never find me telling somebody to get over anything, because that's not for me to tell. So
I hate that phrase.
right,
I
right. Yeah,
hate that phrase.
yep, yeah.
Mm,
It's cold, and it just, it's something we should probably never tell another person. But
mm,
I hear it a lot. And I've had people raise their voice, like, I don't want to hear this anymore, and show frustration from, some of the things that come out of my mouth that I need to express. But at the
mm,
end of the day, those are just not the right platforms. And we need to continue having conversations, because one of the things I learned was that many of us women were called liars. I thought that was my story.
yeah.
I was assaulted at 8 years old. I was raped in my own home by a family member. And when I was threatened then, because that's the other thing. Like, I was
Yep.
like the perfect victim for this person, because of
Mm,
so many things that had happened. Um,
mm,
so yeah, so that happened, and when I finally had the courage at 12 years old, because I was getting older and I saw this person being more aggressive, I felt the danger, and I spoke up, and I wasn't believed by anyone. And that just gave this person more power. And that's how I ended up running away at 15. And this person is over 70 years old, and he's gonna die, leaving me marked as a liar. And that's just how life is sometimes. And I like to tell that, because I know that there's another woman listening to me with the same story. Because how I came to understand that was by just being a case manager and listening to people's stories and what really happened to them, and being
Mhm.
able to be what nobody could be for me, even my own blood, and say, you're not alone. It happened to me too. I'm here for you. If you ever need a safe space, come knocking on my door. And that gave me so much grace and power. And it made me feel like nothing that happened to me was in vain, because God put me in that room on that day when someone needed to cry out for help.
And that person happened to be, you know, oh, whew. Mm. You became the person you needed.
Amen. Yeah, exactly.
You became the person you needed then.
Yes.
And while those memories will never go away, now you can use that to help others.
Yes. And I will. I'll never stop.
And even when, like, on both interviews that that you had on both shows, you got really emotional. And and I'm glad you're here. I'm seeing you getting emotional now. I know it's but like hearing that story, and then and then you just being so real with with the people that we both know, it made me go, you, like, at one point I was holding my fist up, like I'm watching one of the interviews to get ready for this one, and I'm just holding my fist up because all three of you guys were connected. You understood. They
Yep.
heard you.
Yes.
They heard you. There was tissues being given out, but you were
Mhm.
being seen and you were being heard. And
Absolutely.
that is something that we need, that we need more of. Guys, girls, all of that, because it can happen to anybody at any time.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that you're here talking about it and being able to help, just being able to help others regardless of what their situation is, because there's so many people that can relate. It's,
Yes.
like, once again, I'm going to hold my fist up, because we need more of that. We need more people able to advocate for themselves and advocate for others who cannot advocate for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's just it's just crazy. And I'm gonna share this with my aunt, right?
Absolutely.
uh, you know
Absolutely.
I'm
Please do.
I'm gonna share this with my aunt Cheryl, right? Because I was gonna ask you, like, what was it like when you two met? Now, you both worked, in the hospital, in together, and what was it like when you two met? Like, my aunt has a very inviting, bubbly personality,
Yes.
you know. So
She's a
how
beautiful
so how
person.
is that when she is wonderful. She is one of the many women that helped raise me, you know. So definitely gonna definitely giving her props here. But what was it like when you two first met?
Oh my goodness, what a person. She is such a beautiful person. Like, that's my sister for life. I love her. I owe her a phone call, and I always let the time pass me by when I think of her, which is quite frequently, let me tell you. So it started with her being on another floor. So we were not crossing paths as much, but we always had a connection. She has a great sense of humor, and I'm a
Yep.
clown, so I would always make her laugh at, like, the staff meetings and stuff. But when she came to my floor, and it happens to be a floor that I quite frequently pass her hallway, that was it. That was it. I found myself in her office all the time, at nauseum. I'm pretty sure I wiped her out sometimes because
Hmm.
I loved her spirit, our talks. She is full of so much joy. She would spread her positivity all over that clinic.
All over, man.
Yeah, she would print positive affirmations. If people think they came up with positive affirmations, no, no, no. This lady, before it was like a thing, she
Hmm.
is out printing these every single day to share with the whole staff. Leave it at your desk. And she never stopped dropping knowledge and positive vibes for people to, many times I would sit at the end of the day, and I was a case manager, so you know what that's like. You come in with the files that you're buried in. The yesterday's files are still there, and today's files are taller than yes, like that, right? So at the
Mm.
end of the day, or sometimes 2 or 3 days later, I would find them because I would never throw them out. I would put them together in order so I could read them in order, and they always took my breath away. Many years later, I would crack up when I noticed that most of those, if not all of them, were from Iyanla Vanzant, which I came to know after we were not co-workers anymore.
Mm.
We've both moved on from the hospital, and
Mm.
and then that's when I knew um where her books and all the copies that she used to make and share came from, and it made a lot
Mm.
of sense. But also just how what's the word, gentle and delicate and welcoming and not judging, non-judging. She's just a beautiful person. I love her with all my heart. She knows my entire story before I even promised God I was gonna start telling it. That's my
That just
sister.
no, but that just shows what kind of person she is, because you were able to you
Hmm.
were able to talk to her about it, and she was able to, and she was able to let you have that space to listen to you. You
Yep.
know, it makes sense.
Yes.
Like, it's very, like I said, she's one of the women that helped raise me. You know,
Hmm.
my sister and I, we were at at her house a lot when we were kids. You
Yeah.
know, a lot of sleepovers, playing games, introducing us to old movies, and just chilling, baking cookies, all of
Oh
that,
my
all of
goodness.
that positive.
Christmas cookies.
Christmas cookies, the gifts. Her and my aunt Judy, both, may she rest in peace. They were, a huge part of there's. She still is a huge part of
Hmm.
my life today.
Yeah.
I remember watching a documentary on the making of Mary Poppins, and I had to call her. Right. There's been a few times where I've just called her randomly, just thinking about her because of everything that we used to do together. Like,
Yeah.
I'd be like, one day I called her on May 4th, and May 4th is Star Wars Day, right? I'm a big nerd, so I acknowledge Star Wars Day. So I called her on Star Wars Day and said Happy Star Wars Day. She had no idea what I was talking about, but she introduced me to Star Wars,
Wow.
right?
Uh-huh.
So she introduced me to Star Wars, and her sister, my aunt Judy, introduced me to Star Trek. So so I called her one day on Star Wars Day to say thank you for introducing me to Star Wars, right? And because that is a huge part of that's a huge part of my life. It's a huge part of what makes me, me, and we, and when we hang out now, we have, those nostalgic conversations, but more adult conversations too.
Hmm.
And she's still the same person, you know? So
And yes, she
it
is.
it's no, it's beautiful. I didn't even know your connection to her until I had listened to your interview again,
Mhm.
right? And I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of this is why I said at the beginning, there's a lot of connective tissue here.
Absolutely, because there I don't believe in coincidences, and I don't take
Mhm.
credit for not believing in that. God just showed me there's no such thing. I've always been with
Mhm.
you with every step, even the ugliest step, Anna, is God's been building me for who I need to be. And I wouldn't change anything in my life for who I am today and who I've been able to choose as family
Mhm.
is so overwhelmingly beautiful. And I feel all the love that God has allowed me to have through so many different people. And if those
Mhm.
are not like, if it's not blood family or partners, that's fine, because boy has God made it a point to show me. Sometimes you look back and you look at so many miracles on your behalf that
Mm,
you cannot acknowledge how powerful it is to know, like, that we are all a big deal, like, to for a soul to land in a body and come through to this dimension is a
mm,
miracle. And we're all miracles, that we're all children of God, and we all have to, like, my story, it irritates me that I still cry. It really does, because for years I was able to tell it without a tear, so it irritates me that I still cry. However, my story is a celebration, is a redemption story. And, it is not a boohoo story or anything like that, because God made me so strong, gave me so much strength to get up, to not give up, to keep pushing. And that's why I'm still here today. Through the
mm.
grace and love of God, I stand here, and I have my chosen family. Your aunt, one of them, your mom creeping in there, you too. I
Yeah.
have my chosen family, and those are beautiful relationships. I honor those relationships with my whole heart.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you. How did you meet my mom?
So my director where I work now, a very beautiful, intentional lady, does a lot of self-care things for us.
Mm,
And in 2024, I think, started in 2023 into 2024, we had a program with your mom, and she came to talk to us about health and exercise, moving, eating the right things, throw away the processed food, grow your own food, all those, all the things that she's about. She's another very spiritual, amazing lady that I'm honored to
mm,
know. And that's how I met her. Had no idea about Cheryl. um then I learned about the neighborhood market.
mm.
And
Okay. Mhm.
yep,
North End Co-op. Mhm.
yep, the North End Co-op.
Yep.
And I went to an event at the church, Grace Baptist Church, and here
Yep.
comes my sister Cheryl, jumps out of her car. I could not believe it. She jumps out. We do our whole hoop and holler thing for seeing each other. And she's like, "Yeah,
Mm,
that's my sister." And that, yeah. So by then I knew her for like over a year, when I
mm.
realized, yeah, that
Oh,
that was her sister.
yeah.
Again, because God is amazing, you know.
There's a lot of things that connect us that we don't even realize. Especially, okay, like Waterbury is a city. It's not a big city. It's still a city, but it's not a big city. So a lot, so people will, like, you never know who knows who. You
Right.
know, you never know who knows who, or you never know who you're gonna meet at these events that we have on, like, during the seasons. And just big ups to the North End, to the North End Co-op.
Hmm.
Big ups to everybody involved. And don't and you know what? I know you said that you know that you don't like it, that you cry when you tell your story. I think, like, looking back at what you had just shared with us, when this stuff was happening to you, and by 19 you were just so used to it,
Right.
right? By 19 you were just so used to it that it was like, all right, fine, this is just another Tuesday. This is just another, like
Exactly.
it's just a normal thing. Now that that you're able to get it, able to get it out,
Hmm.
and and able to share and be you. You're expressing that your spirit is it's just expressing that. I will never judge anybody for crying, because I was a crybaby growing up, you know. So, like, I will never judge anybody for crying. Like, get it out. I have held people why they soaked my shirt,
Yeah.
you know. They, like,
Good for
I have
you.
held my, like, because these are my peoples. I'm like, they came to me. We talked. The next thing you know, they're crying. I let them cry because they needed to get it out. Plus, it's healthy.
Absolutely, it is. I don't know
You
why
know.
I even say that out loud because I am a crier and I will cry and I will be watching TV and crying all the time.
Oh, I caught myself doing that too. Yeah, yeah. I caught myself doing that too. And my girlfriend knows she'll do it with me because we're both like we're both two very sensitive goofballs and we embrace it. So
That's
you
beautiful.
know.
I
hmm
love that.
So your kids were the reason you got out of the situation you were in. How is your how is your like relationship with them now? Like they know your story, correct?
Absolutely, yes.
Hmm. I noticed there was a few pinpoints, so I'm gonna keep referring back to the other interviews, but there was a few a few times where you had said you told them too early.
I did.
You told them too early about your story. Would you like to elaborate on that?
Yeah, there were some family members telling my story for me, and I moved away, and I never wanted them to feel like I took them away or they did something wrong, and I wanted them to know. Um, so I told them,
Was
and
it like out of frustration, or did you like sit them down and explain? Or
no, I
did it?
sat them down and explained, but it I took their innocence. They were too young. And I also the other thing was that I thought I was gonna die because I was misdiagnosed for a very long time with a heart condition, and I was also driven by fear um when I made the decision to do that.
Uh-huh. Okay. Okay. Got that. Wait, you were misdiagnosed with a heart condition?
I was carrying it for many years, but I was treated as I was labeled as a psych patient, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue. Um, I'm missing one, depression, all the things that didn't even add up. But also, I was having signs, like my knees will swell up like a grapefruit. I know now that's
Mm,
heart failure. Um,
mm,
I- no attention was paid when I walked into the doctor with swollen knees. My palpitations were crazy.
oh,
Just so many different things were happening throughout the process of having insurance, having a doctor, not even having a language barrier. Because as a medical case manager, oh my goodness, a language barrier just doesn't, you just don't get any equitable care unless there's someone advocating for you. And then I became the advocate when I finally got diagnosed, got the right medications. um and those medications didn't improve anything, so I needed a procedure. um so all those things were happening simultaneously, and I made a decision to talk to my kids, and I wish I would have waited a little longer. Yeah,
but I'm sorry. So okay, but like you said, it was driven by fear
yeah.
because you thought thought your days were numbered.
I thought my days
You
were numbered. If my days were numbered, I don't know who they would end up with. I didn't want my kids sitting in a kitchen where someone carelessly would say my story without them knowing what really happened to me. Because we have to be honest with ourselves. These are the same people that didn't believe me when I was raped. And the
Mm,
fact that my kids could end up being raised by the same energy that raised me, it terrified me. It really terrified me. And that was what pushed me to get up and figure out what was happening to me and fight. And I finally was diagnosed. I tried everything the doctors wanted me to try, which was all the wrong things for a heart condition, to be quite honest, because every
oh,
time I was tested. My tests were normal, but it wasn't a deep enough test. The problem was when your doctor doesn't believe you, they don't go further. So if I come back to the doctor with a normal heart monitor, then he just thinks, yeah, this is a crazy person. And that's what he's writing in my chart. You know where I learned that? I learned that when God put me in the hospital, and it was my job to advocate for people. And that's when I learned that, 75% of the time, fibromyalgia means your doctor don't take you seriously, and they just have you as a psych patient. And that's like a running
75%.
joke. Yeah. Oh yeah.
75%.
More
75. That's way too high.
more often than not, the the medical field feels like, yeah, that's just a psych patient.
But
That
once
word
again,
it's put in your chart, and it labels you. And now no one's taking you seriously. Not just the one person that's doing you an injustice, but everyone else that reads the chart.
but that's, oh my God, that's archaic. Okay, okay, okay. So a
Mm-hmm.
lot of these, so a lot of these beliefs and a lot of in a lot of this like lack of care,
Mm-hmm.
that's that's generations of that,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
before, like it's and I'm not I'm not a doctor, not a medical student, nothing like that. But what I have learned is a lot of the stuff that we do today is the same stuff they were doing way back then. They were trying stuff and just taking and just, like, taking wild guesses, and some,
Mm-hmm.
they feel like, oh, I'm the one with the experience. I'm the one that went to medical school. I'm the one that, like, take this medication, you'll be fine. Oh, but doc, once again, not listening. But doctor, my heart is starting to feel weird, or I'm starting to feel that, like, keep taking the
Yep.
medication, you'll be fine. Listen to me. And I'm not, and I'm not saying this about all doctors, okay? But what I am saying is, we're over here talking about people who do not listen
Mm-hmm.
to people when they're telling you there's a problem with them, with their bodies. You're supposed to work together, not just think you have all the answers, because a lot of times it is a guessing game. But you got to listen to your patient. And
Yeah.
can we be a little bit more sympathetic, is what I'm saying. Can we be a little bit more aware of what is, of what's going on, you know? But so because of your job, you now have some inside information.
Mm-hmm.
Now you know why they didn't listen to you the first time.
Yeah.
Ah. So
Yeah.
when did that, when did that revelation happen? Was it when you were just looking at files and then noticing a pattern?
No, after I brought a chart to a doctor, and at that point, like I said, there's no coincidences. It's also my job to get medicine for people that can't afford it and pay
Mm.
for their procedures because they're uninsured, and they've been like walking around with like a lump on their back or something, walking around with something serious that they can't afford. And now it's my job to make sure that they get it. And I love that. So I was very passionate about it. I'll never forget bringing a chart to a doctor, and all I needed was a signature so that I can proceed to get an application to get the medicines for the person.
Mm.
And he takes it and he throws it on his desk. And then as I'm walking away, he says, I'm going to sign it, but those are all psych patients, just like that. And I knew exactly what I handed him. And I knew exactly, wow, that's Anna. Thank you very much. Like, God gives you so many nuggets that you're not even asking for, because and when the and I try not to preach all the time, but I'm a preacher. Because the Bible says not one stone will be left unturned, and that is true. That is true. In the life that I've lived, I've been able to see so many stones turned for me to see. So that was one of those moments. And I walked back with that chart and I sat down and I read it more carefully, and I was like, wow, this is me. This is me. And Well, the doctor that finally when okay, so the doctor that kept sending me home with the monitors, they were normal. He just never took me seriously. Um, that you also know I have kids at home. You like my whole story, and you're okay with this, but
Mhm.
okay. So finally, I get sent for a stress test that I couldn't pass. And as I'm walking on the treadmill, I see the doctors running to my room. They take me off the treadmill. I couldn't pass a stress test, and that's when I was diagnosed with another test, another heart test. Diagnosed me. Meanwhile, family members and friends used to call me the hypochondriac. There's nothing wrong with her. She's just a hypochondriac. And then what I love when I tell that story is the lack of grace. Even if I was a
Mhm.
hypochondriac, can you give me a little bit of grace for what I had to live through? Because maybe I am a total nutcase. And I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. I don't mean to say
No, no,
anything.
no, no. You've been no, but you've been in fight or
Right?
flight mode for the better part of your life.
I have all the excuses to be as crazy as I think I
You
need to be, right?
like seriously. It started when you were when you were basically a kid.
No grace.
You
There's
know,
nothing wrong with her. She's just a hypochondriac. They were just annoyed at my presence because I was always sick. And that was another part of my reality. But the bottom
but
line again, because this is a redemption celebration story,
yeah,
God always, always has your back. He's always working on your behalf. And all of us, if we just sit still, are gonna come through. If we just sit still. And when I say that, I mean, don't hurt yourself, don't harm yourself. Just wait on God and everything will turn around. And I know that's hard. I've lived it. So I say it because I've lived it, and I now cannot stop saying it because I know it's a fact that God loves all his children, every single one of them.
I got a question. Like once again, like the theme is you became the person you needed,
Mm-hmm.
right? You became the person you needed, and I'm and like the the strength and everything coming off of you is palpable. You know what I'm saying? Um, yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Like I said, I know a lot of friends that can relate to what of what you're saying. Now, recently it has come out that a lot of, I mean, very recently, it has come out that they're just now starting to treat treat the male and female anatomy differently. They're
Mm,
just because for the better part of dang centuries, the male anatomy was the default, so they treated everyone the same, right? Do you do you think, and maybe this is a dumb question, but also
okay.
because you're a woman, that had a lot to do with why the doctors didn't listen to you, or why anybody didn't listen to you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because we're hysterical. We're emotional. We're hysterical. I couldn't talk to my doctor without crying. I thought I was gonna leave my kids without me. And that broke my heart. I was the only one there for them. So yeah, I'm just hysterical.
I I know I will never fully understand what that's like.
Hmm.
Okay, but oh my god, it's frustrating. It's frustrating to me.
Yeah.
It really it really is frustrating to me. I've seen y'all go through a lot of stuff for for like reasons, sure, but y'all go through a lot of stuff that you're really it could have been, things could have been like, problems could have been solved, things could have been rectified if people just listen. And it's not even just male doctors, it's female doctors too,
Absolutely.
you know,
Absolutely.
because that's just how they were trained,
Exactly.
right? So
Exactly.
the medical field, like okay, we've been talking a lot about healthcare and medical insurance, and how insurance is basically it feels like a joke,
Mhm.
it honestly feels like a joke. It does not feel like they really want to help you. But as Chris Rock once put it, the money's not in the cure, the money's in the medicine.
Right.
Where we're
No one's
treated
trying to
as
cure you.
no one trying to cure you. They just want to make you sicker so you come back.
Oh my
You
goodness.
know,
If we get into the medicine story, we'll never finish this chat.
man. Look, there will be a part two.
Thank
Like
you.
no, there will be a part two. I always give people an opportunity to come back if they want to, because these stories need to be shared. They need to be told. I don't care if there's only a few people that hear this or
Mhm.
thousands of people that hear this. Something's got to be heard. Something's got to change. You know,
Absolutely.
something's got to change. I'm right there. I'm right there too. As I've said many times on this podcast, they didn't think I would walk.
Wow.
They did not think I would walk. I didn't know this. I didn't know this as a kid. Mom told me this as an adult. Both her, my dad, everybody in my family, they treated me like a normal kid. They knew I had, of course, CP and everything else like that, but the doctors at the time did not think I would walk,
Wow.
or they thought that my life would be difficult, and it was, sure,
Mhm.
right? But that doesn't mean you count people out. I'm hearing people today.
Yes.
I'm hearing certain people today say, "Oh, their quality of life is going to be so bad. It wasn't like this." Talking about autism and ADHD.
Mhm.
When I was a kid, it wasn't like this. When I was a kid, da da da. I'm like, of course it wasn't like this because you were a kid. Number one, you
Oh,
didn't
no, it
know.
was like that, right? But we were probably labeling all those children
That's
that,
it. No,
yep,
that's it.
yep,
They were right there.
yep.
They were right there. Shoot, I recently learned about the person who created the incubator,
Mm.
and that came from a circus freak show. They used to
Mm.
give they used to give the premature babies to this man, and he created a machine to help them survive because they were being they
You
were
mean
either putting them in
discarded?
home. They were either being discarded or put in homes, or like they didn't think these kids would survive.
Wow. Yep.
It's nuts. But this man came up with the technique, and he basically used them in his show, and that is the reason we have the incubator. So I'm like, so hold on, I don't even know this guy, and
Mm.
and he died centuries ago. But at this point in time, like, what?
Wow.
Wow. you know it it's it's just nuts. But now, like the when somebody talks about somebody with autism, and I hear, oh, it wasn't like this when I was a kid. um you you have no idea.
Right.
Yeah, you have no idea. Doing research for this show, I'm learning more about like the Americans with Disabilities Act, all of all of this stuff, one after the other. Me and my girlfriend both. We both have our health issues, right?
Hmm.
But yeah, but we're still people.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You've been talking about your mental health struggles, and in like not wanting to cry every time you mention it. It's like, but it's just you telling your story.
Yeah,
You're still human, you
yeah,
know. That's it. It's the truth. It's the
it
truth.
is.
But like I said, we will have you up here again. We will
Thank you.
have you up here again, and we'll talk about the the medicine and everything else. Because like I said, more people are starting to wake up. You're seeing more people. Like, and I'm not saying it does have a reason for being. Doesn't mean it has to be so expensive. It doesn't mean it has to be so, it doesn't mean they have to gatekeep
Mhm.
all of it. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? It doesn't make any sense. But whatever. I might cut that out. I might keep that in. I don't know. Anyway, um, but Miss Anna, I wanna, once again, I wanna thank you uh for being on A for Able today. I know this is not gonna be the last time we talk, and definitely with like for for someone like you that has been advocating for for people for as long as you have. Do you have any information for anyone who's looking for it?
What I
Mhm.
normally say for any woman that's listening is that take serious that the police is your friend and the fire department is a haven if anyone is in danger. That if you walk into an emergency room and you just say that you're in danger, someone will bring you in a room and keep you safe and find you a place to go, that you never have to go back to a place where someone's hurting you. I'm sure you can do this at a school or a church, but the ones that I know are 24 hours are the fire departments and hospitals. And that's what I
Mm,
always say. Um, if anyone that heard us today would contact you and want to get in touch with me, I would definitely be open for that and respond and talk to anyone that would like to know more or dig into whatever's happening with them. As far as the mental
beautiful.
health, sorry, go ahead.
No, no, no. I'm just saying, beautiful, beautiful. That's yeah. Mm,
Oh, thank you. As far as the
mm.
mental health, we're here in Waterbury. We're working on transforming this community. We haven't given up. We're never gonna give up. And the transformation is going to look like fair housing, and transportation, as well as lowering rates of anxiety and depression and suicidal ideation. We're on it. We came to the city to talk to a lot of members of the community, and I just, if I had any message to say today, is we're not giving up. We're still here, still working on it.
Excellent, excellent. So there's one question I ask all of our guests, regardless of the subject matter, and that is if the young version of you, if young Anna came to you and asked you, how did we turn out? What would you say?
Perfect. Excellent. We overcame everything. And I was saying that little Anna, she always haunts me too. I would just say she was so powerful. She knew how to stay still. She took blows to the head, all everything like a trooper. And that was a strong. I think that little Anna was stronger than me today. I really do. That's my hero.
Oh,
Yeah, absolutely.
oh wow. Well, everybody out there listening, everybody out there watching on the watching on the channel, you heard it from you heard it straight from from Miss Anna. Be that person that you didn't have. Like if you need it, be that person that you didn't have for you that you wish you had. You know, you gotta be like advocating for yourself and people and getting people to listen to you. It's not always easy, but you got to keep going.
You got to keep
You
going.
got you got to keep going. You got to keep going. That is a that is what I would what I would say to anybody going anybody going through this, anybody that anybody that can relate, which I know is a lot of people out there. There's help out there for you. There were people out there. You will find your people. And
Absolutely.
when you do, you'll be just as happy as Miss Anna right there. You know,
Yes,
but
you will. Don't
yeah,
give up.
don't give up. And if you have to cry, cry.
Cry. Yes,
Okay.
listen. Hug as often as you can. Kiss as often as you can. Love on people and yourself as often as you can, and God will give you that back. And don't give up on yourself. Never. Hug yourself
Don't
too.
give.
That works.
I've done it. Shoot.
Yep.
Oh man, no, but that's but that's it. And with all of that said, I'd like to once again thank Miss Anna and thank everyone for watching and listening. And I'll see you on the next episode of A for Abled.
Thank you so much.